Hello and welcome to another Turing Dev Talks. This is Jose and I will be your host for today. And I'm sitting from Montreal, Canada. And on the panel today, we have Hari join us from India. And let me just give you a quick overview of Hari, okay? He is expert in data science with more than 7 years of experience. And today, he's going to talk about learning and improve as a data science expert, okay? Data science specialist, data science scientists, and help us to understand what's the skill sets you need, the advantage, and how you can upskill as a data science. And that's what we'll be doing today. So let's get started. Hey, Hari, first of all, thanks a lot for joining us today. That's my pleasure to talk with you today, okay? And how are you doing? And how is the work at Turing being so far for you?
Hey, Jose, I'm doing good. Thank you for calling me an expert. It's very it's nice to hear that. I don't think I'm an expert, but yeah, it's great to hear that. I'm doing well today. It's a very difficult day, lot of work, but yeah, it's been a good productive day today. Again, you asked me about my experience at Turing. Like Turing has undoubtedly been the best job that I worked in. I know this is going on the Turing channel and all that, but yeah, I feel 100% confident in saying that Turing has been the best job that I've had. The experience has been great. First of all, working remotely is just amazing. Like, I get to wear comfortable clothes, sit at home, sit on my desk, no commute, no, traffic in India and all that. So it's great. And also the ability to work with, world-class talent across the world. My team has people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. I've worked with people from Brazil, from the US, from Egypt and many other countries, and a lot of Europeans as well. So it's a great experience that I can sit at home and talk in depth with a lot of these people, learn from them, learn about the different cultures, and also learn about a better way of working. So it's been a really rewarding and great experience for me.
Great. So if you can see, so there's some goosebumps here, because that's why we would like to provide for all developers, right? The perfect work balance, okay, that we promised. But yeah, so let's go to this discussion today. And so I'm Brazilian, so you are speaking with another Brazilian, okay? So I'm a Brazilian guy. So even though I live in Canada, I was born in Brazil and I work remote for Turing. And so I love that. So okay, so let's get started, okay? Could you please tell us a little bit about your background, about your experience, and as well, something more about your journey?
Sure. So I graduated as a chemical engineer from college in India called BITS Pilani, after which I joined as a data science consultant for one of the biggest pure play analytics companies in the world at that time. There I got a lot of experience working with the biggest companies in the world. So I worked for companies like Microsoft, Apple, Dell, Southwest Airlines, AT&T, and a lot of big companies like that. It gave me a great exposure at the beginning of my career into how big companies use data, how to present data, how to like what kind of machine learning models are there, how do you where do you deploy different machine learning models and different approaches. And that is a great start for my career. I was there in that company for over 3 years, after which I moved to another company. It was one of the biggest healthcare companies in the world. So I worked there for over a year. I was part of the finance team, and I was doing a lot of finance-based model, a lot of forecasting, a lot of payment default prediction models, etc. I did that for about over a year, after which I moved to another company in the healthcare space, but in the clinical research space. I worked there for almost 2 years, and that was also a very rewarding experience for me. As part of the R&D team, so building a lot of cutting edge machine learning models, using learning how to take like very disparate and very very huge chunks of data and creating valuable machine learning models out of it, and seeing how those models could impact the company's operations as well as the company's fortunes, and helping the company improve a lot. That was a great experience for me. I did that for almost 2 years, after which I joined Turing a little over a year ago. And as I said earlier, Turing has been a great experience for me. I was initially leading the data science team within Turing that focuses on the growth and marketing side. Did that for about 6 months, after which I currently lead the same thing from the supply ops perspective for Turing. Again, it's been a very rewarding 1 year for me at Turing, getting to work with a lot of different people, working on a lot of interesting as well as new challenges for me, as well as in the space. So it's been a really interesting and a very challenging and a rewarding journey for me in the last 7 years.
Cool. That was fantastic, man. So on that note, okay, let's start our discussion for today. Okay, so Hari, you talked about your journey and grow as a data scientist. Okay, but about the field of data science, okay, how do you feel it has evolved over those 7 years?
Great. I'll take us a little bit backwards. Like, let's talk about the early 2000s, where big data became huge. Everybody was talking about big data. All the companies were investing into big data. Like when likes of Google and Facebook and all uncovered that they started uncovering large amounts of data. Suddenly, you need to find a way to utilize that data. So a lot of time was spent on big data, how to get the better of it. Initially started off with Hadoop, then moved to Spark and other similar big data tools to basically process this large amount of data. But once you realize that you could handle huge amounts of data, it was about how could you get the best out of that data. And when people really understood, like maybe around the mid 2000s, about 2010s, like about how important data is and how an organization's best interests are served by finding patterns within the data, helping the data tell a better story, helping them make better business decisions with data. And that really improved the demand for data scientists across the world. Now, even the smallest of companies, they start out hiring data scientists as well as the biggest ones. So, data scientists have been in high demand, and purely because of the amount of things that you could do with data, right? So once we had a large amount of data, as well as with increase in computing capabilities, deploying machine learning models and deep learning models, which basically form the backbone for all of our AI related, AI solutions, that became very prominent. So, the best part of this decade has been spent on creating machine learning models and deep learning models, and how to get the best, how to create AI-based solutions to improve business decisions. So some of the simple examples of that would be, or common examples for those would be personalized shopping, entertainment, suggesting a lot of these your improving your payment experience through a portal, in helping you decide what show to watch next, for example. Things like that are really common examples of how data science and machine learning models have entered our lives and have made our lives, as well as the companies that provide these platforms to us, how it has improved the company's performance as well. So we are seeing a lot of extensive breakthroughs in AI, machine learning, as well as a lot of improvements in big data platforms and requirements for a lot of data engineers as well as data scientists.
Yeah, data science is present in everywhere, right? So if you use internet, you probably are facing something that's a data science expert figure out how to show you, right? Facebook is the biggest player. Google, you are too, and also Turing is also one of the big players, because we recommend jobs for you based on AI, right? And you are part on that, right? So it feels like it has so much to learn. And so where can one start from? So if I would like to learn about machine learning or data science, okay, become someone like you, where should I start?
Yes, so there are different parts to being a data scientist. There is one part about being creating of basically writing code, deploying it, the computer science aspect to it, which is one part. The other part is there's also a mathematical element to it. So you need to know mathematics, you need to know probability, statistics, all that kind of stuff. And also there's also a third angle of business, which is basically how can you improve businesses, how can you suggest improvements to an already running business, or and using data. So you can think of data science as a marriage of business, mathematics, as well as computing. So you'll have to get better at each of these individual fields. So, a great place to start off would be like learning a scripting language like Python, like a coding language like Python. So Python is currently the most in-demand language when it comes to data scientists. There are other alternatives like R as well, R and Java and all that. But yeah, Python is what most companies stick to. Apart from that, you need to know basic statistics, probabilities, hypothesis testing, what is the mathematical backend behind the machine learning models that you see. So that is another thing. And you also need to learn how to how understand how a business operates. How can you improve it? How can you provide insights that can help business make huge jumps in their performance, etc. So as I said, it's a marriage of business mathematics and computer science.
Cool, really great, man. So, and these are the skill sets of data science, right? That's what you need to become a data science, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So if we would like to list it, okay, create a list of that. So for the top 3 or top 5, what they should learn? They should learn statistics in the top 1, or what's the top 1 for to become a data expert, data science expert?
I don't think you get to be an expert or a high level practitioner with just having one skill, but for sure learning a coding language like Python as well as having some mathematical backend is the bare minimum to get started.
Okay, so you have to learn one programming language like Python,
yeah,
and then you need to have a good background in math, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
By math, I'm talking about statistics and hypothesis testing and all that.
Okay, because you are going to use that knowledge to create groups and statistics and see which groups do you have, and so how to jump from one group to another group, what to recommend, and something like that, right?
Exactly.
So, Hari, let's talk about the future, okay? Why we are on the topic of evolution, okay? What change do you see happening within the field of data science in the next, I don't know, year or 5 years or even 10 years?
Sure. As far as the field of data science has come since thousands, right? There's every reason to believe that the next decade will bring in even more change with simultaneous advances in technologies like related technology fields and new approaches by the best and the brightest minds in the industry. Data science in the future will bear little resemblance to the state of the art today. That is my belief. A few of the changes that I believe could come in the near future could be a lot of this end-to-end automation in your AI-related tasks. So, for example, we have a lot of improvements in a lot of automated coding or automated machine learning platforms. So it started off with some things like some of the common technologies like H2O, but now you have even more deeper machine learning and deep learning models built by companies like Hugging Face that will make deploying high tech state of the art models very easy. So it'll almost be like data science it'll almost be like a DSAS, DSAS, like a data science as a service. So that will help bring in a lot of improvements to every industry, and that will make the that will reduce the difficulty in making state-of-the-art models and deploying them. Another big change that we're going to see is, a lot of IoT-related improvements as we have a lot more connected devices, as well as with those devices being a lot more capable now, we can have a lot more edge computing done on these IoT devices, and with all those huge amounts of data, that is a hotbed for innovation in the next decade, as it has already been in the last few years. Again, data visualization is going to the meta world, right? So, initially, like in the past decade, like we used to use a lot of infographics and all that to show as well as dashboards, etc., to show how to present data, how the data looks like, and all that, so that can be presented to a non-tech audience. With the improvements in VR, AR, etc., we can create a lot more immersive data experiences. And there are a lot of these impressive examples coming to the market. So, that's going to be a hotbed of innovation in the next decade. Also, one other thing is about the data privacy laws becoming universal, right? Yeah. You see a lot of focus on these kinds of things like data privacy, restrictions on what data can be used, can be collected, can be shared, etc. So and also with respect to safeguarding it, that people's data should not be in the hands of the of unlawful people. So a lot more importance will come to that. This might even slow down some of the advancements that you see, because right now it's a lot of it was like the Wild West. You can gather whatever data you want and you can do whatever you want with it. But in the future, that will not be the case. You have to be very clear about what data you can take from people, how you're going to use it. So maybe that might even slow down some developments in the field, but it is definitely going to be a very interesting decade with all the improvements and all the improvements in the hardware as well as the software side as far as the data science field is concerned.
Yeah, Harry, we can already see most of those starting to shape up, right? But automation is something quite interesting. How do you see the impact of the role of data scientists?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the most important question that is going to affect data scientists and how they improve their career, upskill in their career in the next few years. Like like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, somebody having the skill to deploy a state-of-the-art model by reading a research paper was a hugely admired skill and a skill that was high in demand. But in the next few years, with a lot of these automated coding pipelines and all that coming into play, that will be that skill is going to be less and less important. But what is going to be more important is your ability to understand what is the best approach, what is the best model for your, or what is the best type of model for your project, and what is a which type of approach can give you the most mileage or most bang for buck. Right. Once that happens,
right,
a lot more focus will have to be spent on what each approach does and what does it actually fit your use case, or is it more designed for for a different use case. So that is going to be there, and also like with many other technologies like front end development and all that, like data science is also going to be a lot more low code, wherein your the highest the best state of the art model that is created is going to be just an API call away. So people need to spend more time on understanding what exactly happens in different deep learning and machine learning models, and rather than spending a lot of time on how to deploy it. That is going to be the biggest change. Another important change that this is going to bring about is like people like data scientists who can really understand business and understand how to improve it will become more and more important than people who are just focused on the coding part. So that is an interesting change that I believe is going to happen in the next few years.
Interesting. So with all these changes happening in the field of data science, okay, what can developers focus on while upskilling themselves?
I think that's a very interesting and very pertinent question in the future. So I believe when it comes to upskilling, developers will have to spend more time improving their statistical understanding. So concepts like hypothesis testing, conditional probability, understanding distributions of data, understanding how so that you can understand the data that you see better and you're able to derive insights from them faster and more accurately. That is going to be a very important skill. Again, fundamental computer skills are going to be core and are not going anywhere. So you need to learn how to code in maybe Python along with some other language like R or Java, something like that. Database querying with something like SQL, maybe even non-relational databases like some of the no SQL query data languages might be very important, like MongoDB or something like that. And definitely big data is not going anywhere. Like Spark and Hive, etc. are two very key skills. I also believe developers need to have a more solid understanding of machine learning algorithms, like even the shallow ones like a random forest or a logistic regression, how exactly to use it, what is the best case to use it, where should you go for deep learning models, where exactly what kind of deep learning model works best. All that is going to be definitely important. But I think along with all of this, another skill that is going to be very, very, very important for a data scientist in the future is going to be how to communicate effectively using data. So that could be in the form of dashboards, it could be in the form of presenting your analysis for a non-technical as well as a technical audience, making it making like whatever that you are seeing in the data, that should be visible to everybody else that looks at the looks at your analysis. So that is going to be very important. So visualizations, your more intuitive, more creative visualizations are going to be very, very important in the future. Learning how to tell a story with the data that you see is going to be a lot more important going forward. So that's like a high level overview of what I believe are the ways in which that a developer should upskill themselves for the next decade or so.
Nice, that was great. And now our developers fellow here know what all to add to their skill sets, right? But by the way, by 2026, the number of positions required data science skills is predicted to increase by whopping 27.9%. And that is another reason that you should be focused on upskilling yourself, right? But now, Hari, so we have talked about what all is required from a developer perspective. But I think our discussion will be incomplete without understanding, okay, what top recruiters are looking for while hiring a data science. Okay, could you please shed some lights on that?
Sure. I just wanted to add one point, like, while I mentioned all these skills, it might have seemed daunting, but data science is a very rewarding career. It's probably one of the most rewarding careers in the last decade, and I'm for sure it will continue to remain the same. So, in this field, you get a chance to practice all these skills on your own as well as with your job, and you can improve that incrementally throughout your time as a data scientist. Now, going back to your original question of what are some of the skills that are looked for by some of the top recruiters, including Turing. So when we take interviews for Turing, these are some of the things that we also look for. So one is your ability to code in languages. So Python is something that we really focus on. There are also many other languages that are looked at by different companies. So some of them could be some companies look at C++, Julia, Scala, Java, etc. Those are different, but Python will always be the most in-demand skill, at least at this point. You also need to learn how to query as well as handle databases. So, SQL, some of the NoSQL languages, maybe Kafka, something like that might be important in the future. As well as big data related technologies like Spark and Hadoop and all those similar skills. I also believe that a lot of companies are going to look at business tools a lot more, so Excel, PowerPoint, etc., and not just how to use Excel to show analysis, but also how can you present your analysis? How can you build your analysis? How do you structure your analysis? How do you present your analysis? And in relation to those things, you'll also have to improve. We also look for a lot of visualization skills, like somebody who can you create visualizations in multiple fields. It could be something like a report generation platform, like a Tableau or a ClickView or Power BI or something like that, or it could be using more Pythonic visualization platforms like Dash or maybe D3 or ggplotting or something like that. So those are things that we look for. Of course, like when I mentioned, like that we need to know Python and other scripting languages, you also would like to know, you should also know a lot of these libraries and frameworks within those. So for example, TensorFlow, Pandas, and all that are basically deployed in all different or created in all of these individual languages. So you'll also need to know how to implement all these frameworks in the language of your choice.
Makes sense. So thanks for sharing that. Okay, and I'm sure it would give our developers a good idea about what they should focus to become an expert in the field of data science, right? This has been a great discussion today, Hari. Thanks for that again. And I think it's time to bring our talk to a close. Okay, but before I let you go, could you please share with our developers here some tips and resources to keep themselves up to date with the latest trends?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So some of the tips to keep yourself updated is like talk to more data scientists. Like if there are meetups or there are a lot of these, a lot of people share their work on LinkedIn. So or as well as other platforms. So read about them. Try to do the same with yours. There are a lot of communities like that are there on Medium and Stack Overflow, etc., where you can share your work and people can talk about it. People can tell you how to improve and things like that. So that'd be a great way to keep yourself updated on the latest developments in the field, etc. Another way is through more traditional courses. So they could be, your high quality courses that are created by the best universities in the world on Coursera or something like that. It could be through a lot of YouTube tutorials. There are a lot of people as well as companies that create a lot of content on the latest improvements in machine learning, data science, etc. on YouTube. So checking them out and finding some good resources and then improving your skills. And it's not just about learning; it's about how you can use what you've learned into a different field, how you can translate that into a business problem, etc. That is going to be very important. So that's what I believe. That's what I do, and that's what I believe that other people can also do to get themselves updated with the latest trends that you see in the
that's
industry.
what I do as well. Yeah, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was really helpful, and thanks a lot, Hari, again for this insightful section of this series of Dev Talks. So that was my pleasure to talk with you today, and I hope our audience enjoying this discussion as much as I did. Okay, and if you have any more questions that we didn't answer today, feel free to drop us an email at support@turing.com and let us know in the comment section below if you enjoyed this video, what more would like to learn in the upcoming video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us the big fat and thumbs up for these videos if you love this content. And don't forget to subscribe to Turing.com on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are everywhere. So keep close to Turing. That I'm pretty much sure that you'll find the job that you are dreaming for. Okay, we'll be back with many other Turing Dev Talks, Dev Story tutorials, mock interview. Until then, stay safe and click on the link in the description section below to apply for the job that you would love to work with. Till then, as that said, that's a wrap. Thank you, Hari, again, and I hope to see you all again.